Today, media mogul Rupert Murdoch will find himself answering Parliament's questions about phone hacking that allegedly took place at his British newspaper News of the World. Prime Minister David Cameron called the emergency session to ask Murdoch how much he knows about the scandal, which seems to be growing by the hour. On Monday, a second top-ranking London police officer resigned amid allegations of corruption and collusion with News of the World employees. And even Prime Minister Cameron is taking some heat. His political opponents want him to answer questions about his former communications chief and ex-editor at News of the World, who was arrested in the scandal. And in a surreal twist, one of the first whistleblowers against the paper, reporter Sean Hoare, was found dead in his apartment on Monday. Police say his death is not suspicious. And late Monday, computer hackers tampered with the website of two of Murdoch's other British papers. So joining us now with more on all of this is Brian Stelter, with media reporter with the New York Times. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get to the possibility that Rupert Murdoch may step down. Do you think that's going to happen?
This is a report that surfaced late on Monday, and it only came from one news organization, Bloomberg, but it was taken really seriously because for days now, analysts have been talking about this possibility, that either Rupert Murdoch or his son James, who was heading up the Europe and Asia parts of the company for the last couple of years, either one of the two of them could be affected in some way, as they prepare for their testimony today.
So does it really depend on what he says to Parliament and how that is received?
That's the current claim out there, and that's makes sense in a way because they've been preparing for days for this testimony, and lawmakers would expect both of them to be there. Now, we've known for some time that Rupert Murdoch at some point is going to step down or step up really to be just chairman and have a new CEO come in. I think what we're hearing now and what's being speculated about is whether he could move up to chairman, step back from his day-to-day role more quickly or more swiftly because of this scandal.
What do you expect to hear from Parliament today?
We're going to see the clash of the titans. This is going to be a question and answer like we haven't seen like we don't see very often in America, and even like people in Britain who are used to this sort of thing haven't seen in a while. I was talking to a friend today who said they could charge tickets for this because it's really about 30 years of resentment that's built up against Rupert Murdoch, especially among politicians that haven't curried favor with him, that haven't been supported by him. They now have their day to take their shots at him.
So the gloves are going to come off. You don't expect any holds to be barred there?
No, I think we're going to hear, what did you know, when did you know it, in the style that we remember from Watergate. Because even though it's very different, it's drawing those sorts of analogies. News Corporation is this tremendously successful company, but it has this stain now because of these newspapers. And I think we're going to hear all about what you knew and when you knew it.
Well, let's talk about what they possibly knew and when they knew it. The specifics of the case. News of the World hacked into the, voicemails of celebrities, Parliament, political
victims
figures,
of crimes,
victims,
yeah.
all this allegedly at this point. But what information could they have gained from that?
They were in some cases hearing voicemail messages from family members, from friends. They were gaining inside information about these people's private lives, and they were splashing it on the front pages of papers all the time. We've never seen anything like that in the U.S., but in the UK, they're even more ferocious sometimes for scoops. And the claims here, the allegations are that these reporters just went way too far with these hacking stories. The questions now are how cozy was the News Corporation and these reporters with the police? Because there are allegations of corruption, and that's the other piece of this. It's not just News Corporation that's been tainted by this, it's also the police possibly.
Well, how does it bleed over to the other properties owned by News Corp? Because I want to run through a list right now of what News Corp owns here in the U.S., especially Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post, the 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
So is it possible that the hacking event could maybe have happened here in the U.S. as well?
We found absolutely no evidence that they were doing similar acts here in the U.S., or that anybody has for that matter. But I think the challenge for these other operations, even though they're totally separate from the U.K. operations, is that now they're all in this same boat where they all feel like they've been, where they've had their credibility messed with a little bit. They've had their reputations messed with a little bit. And it's going to be up to all those operations to win back the credibility and the trust of their readers and their viewers all over the world.
What is the political fallout here? I mean, are there any U.S. politicians that could find themselves answering questions about their connection to Murdoch?
I think here in the U.S. there's going to be investigations that are underway by the FBI to figure out if there's any links to anything that happened here. So far, no evidence of that, but the investigations are underway. And, honestly, for critics to Rupert Murdoch, this is the best thing that could have ever happened. This is the best case they've ever had to argue against Murdoch and say he has too much power, that he owns too much in the U.S. Where that goes, it's hard to say. These are debates that will happen months and years from now, but his critics have never had such a great opportunity to take shots at him.
Brian, we have appreciated your insight. Very good information. Thanks for being with us. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.